The surviving Gemini Killer twin knows Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, or at the very least, he will know something is up with Dexter. Throughout Prater's gathering, the narcissistic genius fixed Red with suspicious stares, already sensing something wasn't right about the newest member of their deadly group. In this video, I'm going to prove that the surviving twin has or will figure out Dexter's true identity, and explain how his superior intellect and personal vendetta make him the most dangerous opponent Dexter has ever faced. One who could force Harrison back into killing and finally turn the hunter into the hunted. To understand my theory, we first must establish the Gemini Killer's character and personality. To understand why the Gemini Killer poses such a unique threat to Dexter, we must first understand his MO, or their MO. I don't even know. But let's go with him for now for simplicity. Garrett's killing method involves targeting victims in pairs, arranging their bodies so they lay opposite each other with their heads positioned beside one another. This signature not only doubled the apparent victim count, but created a level of complexity that confused law enforcement for years, allowing him to rack up at least 32 confirmed kills while maintaining his position as the FBI's most wanted. This is important, so keep watching. From his very first appearance at the dinner party, Garrett displayed a level of suspicion and analytical observation that set him apart from every other killer present. While Al Joey was extroverted and Lowell theatrical in his presentations, Garrett remained reserved, watchful, and deeply analytical, constantly studying Red, with penetrating stares that suggest his mind was working to unravel something the others missed. The twin factor, intelligence, and narcissism are also central to how I think that the rest of the show will play out, and we'll get onto that now. But first, I want to remind you to subscribe if you're enjoying the video. The foundation for disaster was laid in episode 6, when Dexter left Prater's place and decided to stalk Garrett. Following the Gemini Killer through the streets, Dexter watched him enter a bookstore where Garrett placed a bookmark with 8 p.m. written on side a book about serial killers. Both us and Dexter had no idea what this meant until the end of episode 6, and I will explain shortly. But the situation quickly reversed in a way that should have been Dexter's first warning sign. The Gemini Killer had not only noticed he was being stalked, but had turned the tables entirely. Rather than becoming prey, Garrett followed Dexter home and confronted him directly. This wasn't the behavior of a typical target cut off guard. This was someone who had been watching the Watcher, demonstrating the kind of technical awareness that comes from superior intellect and paranoid instincts. During their tense conversation in Dexter's apartment, Garrett's true nature emerged in full. His narcissistic superiority complex dominated every exchange as he casually dismissed the Zodiac Killer as an amateur and ranked Red as number 2 at best in some twisted hierarchy of serial killers. Whilst he clearly loves himself and was clearly a narcissist, it wasn't completely delusional. He was clearly very smart. Top of class, top of Mensa, the official IQ rankings, and top of the FBI list. His extreme intelligence matched with his narcissism, and is why I think that we're going to see a crazy endgame with the Gemini Killer. We finally get to understand the Gemini Killer's twisted psychology during this confrontation. Garrett spoke with analytical precision about his philosophy of targeting duos, describing these kills are creating the ultimate bond, and positioning himself as someone who delivers a final gift to those who pass. This revealed the mind of someone who had studied the craft extensively, viewing murder not as an impulse, but as an art form. However, Garrett's intellectual arrogance became his downfall as he completely underestimated Dexter's own capabilities. While the Gemini Killer believed he was in control of the situation, lecturing Red about serial killer hierarchies, Dexter was already several steps ahead. During the conversation, Dexter successfully spiked Garrett's drink, turning the hunter into the hunted. What followed was a clean kill, another predator removed from society according to Harry's code, with Dexter believing he had eliminated the only Gemini Killer threatening innocent lives. But Dexter's confidence was short-lived. The shocking revelation came at the helicopter pad at the end of episode 6, when Prater's remaining killers gathered for their next phase of activities. As Dexter stood among Al, Charlie, and Prater waiting for Garrett to arrive, a car pulled up. Out stepped what appeared to be the same man Dexter had killed. Same face, same mannerisms, same unsettling presence. In that moment, Dexter's carefully controlled world tilted on its axis.
Holy shit, Gemini. How did I not see this coming? The Gemini Killers, twins. Fuck me.
The astrological sign Gemini, representing twins, had been hiding in plain sight. What law enforcement and Dexter himself had attributed to one killer's efficiency was actually the coordinated effort of 2 identical siblings. Now this changes everything for the plot of Dexter Resurrection, and we're going to discuss it now. The twin revelation fundamentally alters our understanding of the Gemini Killer's operation, and makes them exponentially more dangerous. For two people to function seamlessly as one identity requires an extraordinary level of coordination and trust that goes beyond typical partnerships. The twins must remain constant contact, sharing not just methods and targets, but potentially even thoughts and suspicions about the people they encounter. This intimate psychological bond means that if one twin harbored doubts about Red during Prater's dinner party, the other likely developed those same concerns. More critically, if one twin was planning to stalk or confront Red, the surviving brother would almost certainly know about it. The bookstore encounter now reveals its sinister true purpose. When the twin told Dexter the message was, "For myself," it was almost certainly a deflection. That 8 p.m. note was communication between the brothers, coordinating their movements and activities while maintaining their single identity facade. The fact that they operated with such complete secrecy, maintaining this deception even from someone as connected and knowledgeable as Prater, demonstrated a level of operational security that makes them incredibly dangerous. They're not just individual killers. They're a two-person intelligence network with shared analytical capabilities, perfect mutual alibis, and sophisticated coordination systems. This is precisely why the surviving Gemini twin will inevitably discover that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher. Given his supposedly extraordinary close bond with his brother, he will immediately become suspicious when his twin goes missing after specifically planning to meet Red. He was already suspicious of the newcomer during Prater's gathering, and now he's witnessed a devastating pattern. Lowell disappearing after announcing his next kill, Mia LaPierre died mysteriously in custody, and his own brother vanished after confronting the group's newest member. For someone with his analytical intelligence and intimate knowledge of serial killer cases, connecting these dots to realize Red is actually the legendary Bay Harbor Butcher becomes not just possible, but inevitable. So what happens when his surviving Gemini twin figures out that Red is actually the Bay Harbor Butcher? The implications are huge, and there are several ways that this can play out, all of them bad news for Dexter and Harrison. But before we get into that, just another reminder to subscribe. The most immediate possibility is that Gareth reveals Dexter's identity to Leon Prater, a scenario that becomes increasingly likely when we consider the twins' demonstrated loyalty to their benefactor. During the dinner party discussions about Mia LaPierre's potential loose lips, Gareth was notably eager for Prater to take extreme measures, suggesting he views protecting their arrangement as paramount. If the surviving twin concludes that Red systematically eliminated his brother, Lowell, and orchestrated Mia's death, his first instinct might be to warn Prater that a legendary serial killer has infiltrated their inner circle. This revelation could trigger two dramatically different responses from the billionaire collector. The first possibility is that Prater, learning that he had been deceived and that his carefully curated group had been systematically dismantled, would view Dexter as an existential threat, requiring immediate elimination. Prater's resources are vast. He has connections reaching into the FBI, private security forces led by the Lethal Charlie, and enough wealth to make problems disappear permanently. The combination of Prater and Gemini's resources could create the most formidable opposition Dexter has ever faced. However, there's an equally compelling alternative outcome. Prater's obsession with serial killer memorabilia and his fanboy mentality towards legendary killers might override his anger at being deceived. Discovering that the infamous Bay Harbor Butcher, someone whose blood slides he proudly displays in his vault, had been sitting at his dinner table could trigger awe rather than rage. Prater might see this as the ultimate coup for his collection, shifting from wanting to eliminate Dexter to wanting to possess him entirely. This scenario can be even more dangerous than outright hostility, as Prater might attempt to capture and study Dexter like a prized specimen, turning the hunter into the ultimate trophy. Another option is that the surviving twin decides to go after Dexter himself, seeking personal revenge for his brother's death. This fits perfectly with everything we know about the Gemini Killer. He's narcissistic, believes he's superior to other killers, and was incredibly close to his twin brother. Now lock in, because here's where it gets really scary. The Gemini Killer's whole thing is killing in pairs. He calls it creating the ultimate bond, remember? For someone motivated by both revenge and professional pride, taking out both the legendary Bay Harbor Butcher and his son would be the perfect way to prove that he's better than Dexter. This puts Harrison in serious danger. Unlike other times when Harrison was threatened because of Dexter's actions, this time Harrison would be a main target just because he's Dexter's son. The Gemini twin is smart and methodical. He studied both father and son carefully before making his move, learning their routines and weaknesses with the same precision that made him the FBI's most wanted. The timing couldn't be worse for Harrison. He's finally finding some stability in New York, working at a hotel and getting close to Elsa and her son Dante, but now he'd been dragged back into the violent world he'd been trying to escape. Even worse, if the Gemini twin forces Harrison into a life or death situation, Harrison might have to kill again to survive. This could be exactly what pushes him over the edge into becoming the killer both he and Dexter have been trying to prevent. The irony is brutal. Dexter tried to protect innocent people by killing members of Prater's group, but this might be exactly what corrupts his son. If Harrison is forced to kill again to protect himself or Dexter, it could destroy his mental stability and push him to fully embrace his dark side, or turn against his father again. The next possibility is how the Gemini twins' knowledge could connect with the police investigation that's already happening. Angel Batista and Detective Wallace are already closing in on Dexter and Harrison, and the surviving twin could make their job a lot easier. Batista is determined to prove that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he's building a case connecting Harrison to Ryan Foster's murder. If the Gemini twin decides to go after Dexter, whatever he does could accidentally give the police the evidence he needs. Think about it. The twin is incredibly smart and knows everything about the Bay Harbor Butcher case. If he decided to work with investigators instead of seeking revenge, he could be exactly what they need to finally nail Dexter. He's got first-hand knowledge of what Dexter's been up to recently, plus the intelligence to help the police understand how everything connects. Or, if the twin goes for a violent revenge, the chaos that follows would draw massive police attention to everyone involved. Batista and Wallace are already getting close. A big confrontation between serial killers could be the final piece that brings down Dexter's whole new life. And here's the really scary part. All of these things could happen at once. The surviving twin could tell Prater, plan his own revenge, and accidentally help the police all at the same time. Dexter could be facing threats from every direction. Prater's money and resources, a genius killer seeking personal revenge, and a police investigation that's finally getting somewhere, all while trying to keep Harrison safe and prevent him from turning into a killer himself. I think one last thing that we need to consider is that the twins' personalities, motivations, etc. are completely different, and Dexter could have killed the evil twin, but I'm not even sure what I'm talking about there, to be honest. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.